Don't we call this meeting to order? Welcome, everyone, certainly to my colleagues and to all of those who are joining us this morning. Ada, would you read the public notice statement, please?
Yes, good morning, and thank you, Mr. President. Adequate public notice has been given pursuant to the Open Publics Meeting Act. Notice has been posted at the board's website and have been emailed to the Department of State and to newspapers of broad circulation within the state.
Thank you. And roll call?
Commissioner Holden?
Here.
Commissioner Solomon?
Here.
Commissioner Shivakola?
Here.
Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
President Fiorelisa?
Yes. Our next regularly scheduled meeting, Ada?
Our next regular board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 14, 10 a.m. via teleconference.
Thank you. And we are planning, and I know we've been reaching out to have an additional board meeting on October 2nd for a couple of items that need to be expedited, and we're not ready for today's meeting. So I'm assuming since we had something previously scheduled for October 2nd, that October 2nd is good for all of my colleagues. Am I correct?
Your audio faded out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this better?
I think it's my internet connection. I'm not wearing my tinfoil hat.
I hope there's no lightning.
I hear it in a Dolby stereo. Sounds nice.
I was saying we had something else scheduled. We're planning for an additional board meeting on October 2nd.
Yes.
And since we had something previously scheduled or thinking about something, that October 2nd is good with my colleagues. Am I correct? Is it not good for anyone?
Correct.
Works for me.
Works for me.
Good.
Good, everybody? All right,
Yes.
good. So we will have, Ada, an additional board meeting on October 2nd. And we will all be, myself and my colleagues will be advised by staff on those items that will be on that October 2nd agenda. So thank you very much. There will be no executive session today. And I would like to inform those who are listening that items 1D and 8E will be deferred to a later date. 1D relating to the TPS rules, and clean energy item 8E relating to solar transition incentive program, as I said, will be deferred until a later meeting. I do have some opening remarks, if you will bear with me. First of all, I hope that all of those folks who celebrated Rosh Hashanah had a wonderful holiday, and I wish you all peace and health in the new year. This week is also Climate Week and National Clean Energy Week. And that is really right down our alley as far as our clean energy program is concerned here in the state of New Jersey. And something that we have to continue to, in my opinion, move forward aggressively, but prudently. And because we always have to keep in mind, as far as our programs are concerned, the effect that they have on ratepayers. The storm we had in August hit the state of New Jersey, and I guess the exact date was August 4th, causing 1.4 million electric customers outages and requiring 6 days of restoration. All 4 electrical distribution companies were impacted, and there was a lot of transmission damage this time with this particular storm. We understand how difficult it is for customers when they face a period without electricity, particularly during the heat of a month like August. In response to the outages, the BPU directed the electric distribution companies to provide major event reports in the first week of September. The reports are undergoing scrutiny as we speak by our Division of Reliability and Security, and we are currently engaged in following up investigative questions based upon those reports. The scope of our investigation includes preparations. Were preparations appropriate given the forecast and the nature of the storm? Communication. Did the EDCs communicate with customers and elected officials? Did they communicate? Let me repeat that because this is such an important point. Folks may not like what we're telling them. We may not like to hear what the electric companies are telling us, but they have to be straight. They have to be as accurate as they possibly can be, and they have to communicate. They have to tell their customers and the elected officials of those towns affected the truth and when they expect restoration. We can't pussyfoot around because people have to know the information so that they can make their plans. But communication is vital, and we said that and have said that since Sandy. And any electric company or any utility that's not communicating with their customers on a regular basis during a storm will be severely reprimanded. This is not acceptable behavior. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Vegetation management. Are trees still a major cause of outages? This has been a problem ever since I got on the board, and it preceded me getting on the board. Vegetation management is extremely important. We talked to an awful lot of mayors recently, and they are supportive of vegetation management. And I asked them, will they support us if we become more aggressive, maybe change the rules regarding vegetation management on the part of the utilities? Will they support our actions? Or will they back down when the first resident complains about how their tree was trimmed? This is a problem. Vegetation management, we have to get a handle on this. Evaluation of infrastructure improvements, how investments improved resiliency. And as my colleagues know, and that the number of enhancements since Sandy have been tremendous. Some experts told us after this August storm that if this storm had occurred 10 years ago, people could have been out of power for 2 weeks. So there is improvement, and the goal is obviously trying to reduce the number of outages, and when there are outages, to reduce the duration of those outages. And that's what we have been working toward. AMI, evaluation of the limited pilot of advanced metering, and did AMI play a part in aiding response and recovery? This is going to be an interesting part of that report from my perspective, because AMI has been talked about a long time here in New Jersey, and we're going to see, is it time to pull the trigger on it? I don't know. Since the investigation is ongoing, we are still in the process of uncovering information. We don't have it all yet. My colleagues and I will be engaging with the reliability and security team over the next several weeks to review preliminary findings and to determine when we can release a final report. I would like to announce that Cynthia Holland, the director of our regional and national division, primarily focusing on FERC and PJM, has submitted her resignation. Friday will be Cynthia's last day at the board. She will be going on to the private sector, which has created the need for some restructuring in that division. But before I tell you about the restructure, I just want to thank Cynthia for her expertise and her dedicated service to the board, and most importantly, to the citizens of New Jersey. Monitoring the actions of FERC and PJM is a full-time job. And she and her colleagues in her division have done a remarkable job in protecting New Jersey's position and New Jersey's interests on the national and regional level. So on behalf of the board, and I know everyone joins with me in wishing Cynthia only the best as she continues to broaden and enhance her career. And we will certainly miss her, but she knows she always has a home at the BPU. The restructuring of that division is going to be as follows. Joe DeLosa will be moving over to the policy area of our department and will be reporting to Hannah Thonay. Joe will continue to concentrate solely on FERC and PJM. And as you well know, Joe has a bright future here at the board. He is well-versed in the functions of FERC and PJM. And I know we all wish Joe success and luck in his as he moves over to that area of the BPU. And we're going to be counting on Joe for his continued expertise and so on relative to federal and regional affairs. Emily Smithman will be moving over to our legal division, where we are rather short on legal specialists, and a lot of her work will be still related to FERC and PJM. And Emily too, I believe, has a bright future here at the board. She has been a quick study since she came on board and is learning every single day. And like Joe, I'll repeat again, she has a bright future here at the board. And I know everyone joins with me in wishing Emily success, continued success here at the board. And we look forward to continuing to work with her and Joe as we protect New Jersey's interests on the state and federal level. We will also be looking to bring in another individual to work on FERC and PJM issues, and who will be assisting Joe and Emily. So we'll be going out and searching for that type of person. Unfortunately, they don't grow on trees. They're very difficult to find. But if we can bring in a junior person and really bring them along and mentor them, I think it will serve the board and the state well. That's it for me. Do any of my colleagues wish to make any opening remarks?
Mr. President?
Yeah.
First of all, right now as we speak, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's services are going on. I just wanted to, what a giant she was, and she's we need to remember that. That's one comment. The second comment I have is that September 15th onwards is the Hispanic Heritage Month. So we want to recognize the contributions of all the Hispanic Americans, not only at the board, but around the world. And third thing is also from a South Asian point of view, the Indian Americans celebrate Diwali month, so which is a festival of lights, and that whole month, and the legislature has declared that a few years ago. So I just wanted to say those three things, and I agree with you with respect to the outages and how much communication is important to let the people know what is going on in their neighborhoods and with respect to their circuits, and providing reliable information is very critical. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And you're right. People should not be given information with rose-colored glasses on it. And lying to people doesn't serve our society or our democracy well. Anyone else?
President Fiordaliso?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to extend my thanks also to Cynthia Holland and wish her well in her new endeavor. Her briefings were always very entertaining as well as extremely thorough, and she's an excellent writer, really very concise in getting our position across to FERC, even if it always wasn't accepted. We had to go through rehearing after rehearing, but she did it with great ease, and spent a lot of her personal time working on these issues on behalf of the people of the state of New Jersey. She's very passionate about what she does, and she will be missed, although I know we're going to be in good hands with Joe DeLosa. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, we may not have won every fight. We may have lost most of them, but Cynthia and her crew gave them hell. I'll tell you that. They knew and know that New Jersey is around, and New Jersey is willing to stand up and defend our 9 million people. Anyone else?
Yes, President.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's a really great loss to the board with Cynthia leaving our midst. You can't put a value on what she brought in terms of information to commissioners and to staff on a number of different levels that really is hard to gauge and give adequate credit to. She took a very difficult subject and could come into your office and simplify it in ways that made sense and were completely instructive for all who were there to learn from her. And that includes her written work, which Commissioner Holden mentioned, which was outstanding. She is going to be an asset wherever she goes, and we were completely blessed to have her on staff for not only at the board, but when she was in the AG's office, always making a contribution regardless of who was in the governor's office at the time. So when I got that call on Friday and I heard she said, "I have something to tell you," I knew right away that was not going to be a good day for me, but I think it'll be a wonderful day and time for her, and I wish her all the best, and she will certainly be missed.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. President?
Yep.
I want to add my best wishes to Cynthia and pick up on something that Commissioner Solomon said. I think what I will miss most about Cynthia is her ability to translate complex subjects in a way that made it much easier for the non-expert to understand the issues, and that is a rare gift, and so it's going to be a real loss for those of us who depended on her to explain to us what these FERC issues were all about. And of course, I wish her all the best as she moves forward in her career.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah. Just one recollection, if I may. When she was still a pup at the DAG's office, relatively new there, frankly. I was the hearing officer for the Susquehanna-Roseland transmission line, which was a very controversial project, and so on. And the two DAGs that were helping me, they were advising me, they were great. One of them was Cynthia, and the other was Curry Kirschbaum, who has since left the state and is with Con Edison, I believe now, and so on. And we had, during very difficult times, we needed police escorts to get out of some of the buildings because it was such an emotional issue. But these two women really were top notch and really helped me to a point where I can't even express it. So I hope Cynthia fondly remembers those days. And when we're talking to Curry, I always bring up those days, and that goes back a good number of years. So thank you, Cynthia, and I know you're gonna kill them wherever you go. Ada, the consent agenda, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the following consent agenda items, 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and 9A.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And there's just one other thing that I want to mention. At the last meeting, I had indicated that my colleagues and I would meet in person at the State House for this meeting, and along with the pertinent staff for that meeting or for this meeting, and so on. Unfortunately, some difficulties with the State House arose, and we had to go back to our other format, which is what we're doing now, obviously. We are going to try to work something out for the October 2nd meeting where we can possibly meet in person. And again, it would be live streamed to the public so that everyone can see and hear what we're doing. So that I just wanted to make that announcement for those who are wondering why we were still using the same format, and hopefully it'll work out for October 2nd. If not, then we're going to continue virtually, and we might try to do it with Zoom insofar as, having the pictures and looking at the commissioners, all of us. So we may even have to dress up, folks, if that's the case, but I'll give you enough notice and so on. I think it's, I've heard that the public misses seeing us. That was a joke. So let's go on to the regular agenda, please. And the first item up is audits, and Director Bader, you're first up, 1A.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Before you is item 1A involving a registrant who failed to comply with certain provisions of NJSA 48:3-78 et seq. And the New Jersey Administrative Code, NJAC 14:4-1.1 et seq. Acclaim Energy Ltd. continued to operate as a registrant after their registration expired due to not filing a renewal application prior to their registration expiration date. In order to resolve the matter of the violation, Acclaim filed an offer of settlement in the amount of $1,150 with the board for approval. In addition, Acclaim Energy Ltd. filed an initial application to be an energy agent, private aggregator, and energy consultant for approval. This agenda item therefore involves two separate matters on which you will vote. Staff believes that the offer of settlement is reasonable based upon the alleged violations for the company and recommends that the board accept the offers of settlement offered by Acclaim Energy Ltd., subject to the conditions set forth in the respective settlement offers and draft orders. Given that there are no investigations pending with regard to Acclaim Energy Ltd's service being provided in New Jersey, staff also recommends that the board approve the initial registration applications for Acclaim Energy Ltd to be an energy agent, private aggregator, and energy consultant.
As Alice indicated, items 1A and 1B will require two votes. 1A, the first is to accept the offer of settlement. Can I have a motion?
I move to accept the settlement with Acclaim Energy.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation to accept Acclaim Energy's offer of settlement, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Now I will entertain a motion to renew their license.
I move to accept the initial registration application of Acclaim Energy.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call?
On the motion to accept staff's recommendation to accept Acclaim Energy's initial registration, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 1B is similar to 1A. Alice?
Yes, it is. This applicant, Inertia Energy Advisors, continued to operate as a registrant after their registration expired due to not filing a renewal application prior to their registration's expiration date, and therefore did not comply with NJSA 48:3-78 et set and the New Jersey Administrative Code NJAC 14:4-1.1 et set. In order to resolve the matter of the violation, Inertia Energy Advisors filed an offer of settlement in the amount of $1,750 with the board for approval. In addition, Inertia Energy Advisors LLC filed an initial application to be an energy agent for approval. This agenda item involves the two separate matters on which you will vote, just like the prior one. Staff believes that the offer of settlement is reasonable based upon the alleged violations by the company and recommends that the board accept the offer of settlement pro offer by Inertia Energy Advisors LLC, subject to the conditions set forth in the respective settlement offer and draft order, given that there are no investigations pending or complaints with regard to Inertia Energy Advisors LLC service being provided in New Jersey. Staff recommends that the board approve the initial registration application for Inertia Energy Advisors LLC to be an energy agent.
I'll accept a motion to accept the offer of settlement.
I move to accept the settlement with Inertia Energy Advisors.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation to accept Inertia Energy Advisors' offer of settlement, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Now I'll accept a motion for renewal of their license.
I move to accept the initial registration application of Inertia Energy Advisors.
Second.
Questions, comments?
President, I just have a question for Alice. Alice,
Sure.
even though their registration has expired and they're resubmitting, why is it called an initial? Because they're already on file, right? It's called an initial
No,
registration.
once their registration does expire, they have to reapply to actually become registered in the state of New Jersey. So they have a new registration number. So they have to market themselves under a completely new registration number.
Oh, I see.
Because
Okay, got it.
their registration expired. They did not file on time. And because they failed, because administratively they were supposed to file with us every year, it was automatic. But with the changes, well, there will be some changes going forward with respect to this, as you are aware. But that item 1D is being deferred today, but it does address that some things will be a little different going forward. But as of now, they did not file their renewal, and so the registration completely expired.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation to accept Inertia Energy's initial registration, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes,
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiorelliso.
Yes. 1C, Alice, regards an RFP for a consultant to perform an audit.
Yes, this matter involves staff's request to commence an affiliated transaction audit between Public Service Electric and Gas Company, its parent, Public Service Enterprise Group, and its affiliates, and a comprehensive management audit of Public Service Electric and Gas Company. Staff drafted for your consideration a request for proposal, which includes a phase 1 and a phase 2 of the audit. The phase 1 will examine affiliate transactions between PSE&G and its affiliates, as well as the cost allocations between PSE&G, PSEG, and the affiliates to ensure that the gas and electric distribution company is not being allocated an unfair share of the costs. In addition, this part of the audit will also consider PSE&G's compliance with our rules regarding affiliate and fair competition. Phase 1 will also include impacts on PSE&G's ratepayers from affiliate positions in the energy transmission and capacity markets and planning decisions with respect to the distribution, delivery, and transmission systems. Phase 1 will review and evaluate the arrangement over the past 10 years between ER&T, PSE&G, and its impact on PSE&G. It will also examine impacts on PSE&G and its service in New Jersey with regard to resource allocations to Long Island operations. And that's just to name a few of the items that will be examined during this audit. Phase 2 will be a comprehensive management audit, which does a very thorough review of the management and operations of the company. It will examine all the major functional areas of PSE&G's operations, including such things as executive management, corporate governance, organizational structure, human resource department and functions, strategic planning, system operations, customer service, external relations, and cybersecurity, just to name a few of the areas that will be looked at. More specifically, phase 2 will also examine the compliance with Linda's law and customer service procedures, response times, and performance with matters involving safety and welfare of its customers. This is all outlined in the RFP and with specificity and the scope of work. Staff recommends that the board permit audit staff to release the RFP to the pool of 7 already qualified management consultants to solicit bids to perform the scope of work and to commence this audit.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
yes,
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiorelliso.
Yes. And then finally, Alice, 1D.
Yes, 1D involves the matter of the board's review of the energy competition licensing and registration rules, specifically subchapter 5, energy licensing and registrations. It's my understanding that this matter, though, is being deferred.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I that's my fault. Yes.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay.
No, I can describe it a little bit if you want me to.
No, that's fine. We'll defer it until the next time, and then you can give us the all details of it.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. Thank you, Alice, and you have a good rest of your day.
Yes, thank you so much, commissioners. Have a wonderful day.
Good too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That brings us to energy. And Stacy, you'll be presenting?
Yes. Can you
Good
hear me all
morning.
right? Good morning.
Yes, I can hear you fine. Can everyone else hear you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. First item is regarding ACE, 2A.
Yeah, I also just wanted to express my well wishes to Cynthia Holland. She has definitely become the Mariah to my Beyonce over the last several years. And I'm definitely going to miss her, but wish her well. So agenda item.
That was a very good analogy you just made. I like that.
So agenda item 2A relates to a May 1st, 2020 petition filed by ACE seeking review and approval of cost recovery associated with the company's infrastructure investment program through June 30th, 2020. The petition sought approval to recover a revenue requirement of $3.4 million, which was subsequently updated to $3.7 million based on actual program expenditures. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to recover the updated revenue requirement. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see an increase in their bill of 40 cents per month. Staff recommends the board issue an order adopting the stipulation and directing ACE to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Infrastructure cannot be overstated as far as its importance is concerned. And any entity that we regulate who is not keeping up with their infrastructure is not being proactive in their infrastructure. And I want to underline proactive. It's not enough. If something breaks, you go out and fix it. It's anticipating, looking at the age of certain things within your infrastructure, being proactive to ensure the fact that the most up-to-date materials are there. And as we always do here at the board, we have to weigh those costs because you and I as ratepayers are paying for it. We have to be prudent in what we approve. But I would like to see our utilities to be, most of our utilities to be a little bit more proactive in evaluating their infrastructure. Because that is one of the keys as far as resiliency is concerned, as far as outages are concerned, as far as the duration of outages. Proactivity is extremely important. And particularly those entities that are owned by out-of-state companies. New Jersey is a cash cow as far as the amount of cash sent back to these companies, these out-of-state companies. We have to make sure that these out-of-state companies are returning the money to their in-state entities to improve and enhance their infrastructure. This is a must, and we will be monitoring this very, very closely. Any other comments, questions?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
President Fiordalisa, you know, I agree with you, and as we can all see from the agenda, there's a lot of infrastructure items that we're going to be dealing with today, and how important that is for the state to keep its eye on the ball, especially, you know, there's this competition, you know, and part of it is, you know, being fostered by us, by, you know, where these utilities should be giving their attention as we, you know, bring on, you know, other types of activities, whether it be electric vehicles, renewables, you know, subsidies for, you know, certain types, you know, nuclear generation. There's a, you know, push-pull as to, you know, where they should be giving their attention, and also where we should be giving our attention on behalf of the ratepayer. And that balance is at times can be precarious. And just to keep our eye on the ball as to what our core responsibility and their core responsibility is in terms of providing safe, reliable service. And that's a concern for me moving forward. And with all the items that we've been pushing and having on the agenda, while still trying to assure this core function, sometimes can cause competition within these organizations as to where to put their capital. So that is something we need to pay close attention to.
Absolutely, thank you. You're right on target, and it as more and more renewables come online, all of the companies have to be prepared to accept it, because, and I'm talking for myself, but I think there might be agreement among my colleagues. It's not acceptable to say we don't have enough facilities to interconnect renewable energy into our system. You better be prepared. You better be looking at your system to ensure the fact that any interconnection that is necessary has a place in your grid, in your system. We're going to be looking at this very, very carefully. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, Mr. President, one thought ran through my mind when you were talking about the infrastructure. When we approve a lot of this infrastructure funding, we have the board orders, and I think we need to get the utilities to identify, against each of the board orders, what infrastructure improvements have been made and where, so that way, in case of some kind of a whether any kind of disaster, weather or other events, we should be able to say, okay, this area was affected, but was there enough investment made there or not? So some kind of a cross check that we can do without getting into too much detail. I think, at least some kind of pointing out against the order, I think going forward may be useful.
I agree with you, Commissioner, and I'm thankful, and I know we're all thankful that we have a fantastic director of energy who does stay on top of these things. And but I just wanted to send the word forth that we're not playing around here. We're not playing around, and if your mother company isn't providing enough assistance, that's a problem. And they're going to hear the wrath of the BPU, I can assure you. Any other questions or comments?
President Fiordaliso?
Yes, ma'am.
One thing that struck me is this also goes to the heart of two things. One is vegetation management. The same thing as infrastructure, and affects the infrastructure. If you're planning to do it, what's the follow-up? Did you do it? What's causing the problem? Are your right-of-ways been taken care of? That's something that, it goes back to something earlier we talked about, but it is part of the infrastructure that is taken into consideration. And following on Commissioner Shivakula's comments, the water sector, when they do extra infrastructure, they have to file a foundational filing, whether it's for water distribution, or hopefully in the wastewater rule we're considering for collection. Yes, that plan is there, and you have to do it, and then you have to go through a rate case, so that there's a little more follow-up, I think. And I know they're very good asset management plans, and we should be looking at that and making sure that they're being carried out.
And I agree. There's no question. And as I said before, we have a great director who's on top of it. And as far as water is concerned, we have somebody who has been on top of this for years and years and years and
Yes.
years. But we as commissioners too have to be more aggressive and talk more and more about this, because what we say from the bench, I hope, resonates, because it's so important for the future of this state. And it's so important for the economy of this state. The interjection of these kinds of things really can help the economy rebound after we eventually get through this pandemic. So, any other questions, comments?
Yeah, Mr. President, one more thing. Maybe maybe half yearly. I know water companies, as Commissioner Holden said, that they do above ground and underground different installations. What we have every 6 months, we should. I mean, I'm just suggesting a number. 6 months, it could be longer, it could be shorter. Basically, look at some of the infrastructure investments that utilities have sought for, and then sort of review them. So, okay, these are the orders that were done. You know, probably it'll take a year or 2 years for the infrastructure investments to be implemented, but at least some kind of a review in a public session, that'll be great.
President Fairley, so if I could for a second.
Sure.
So, so there is actually a review of the infrastructure investments that we have recommended for approval, and all the utilities are required to submit quarterly, semi-annual, and annual reports detailing the work that was done versus the work that was approved. And those do get reviewed in these annual or semi-annual filings, and the prudency gets reviewed in a rate case. In addition, some of the programs, including the one for item 2A, do have independent monitors who either submit quarterly or semi-annual reports to the board with a review of the investments, and some of them include how the investments that have been made have responded in storms, including vegetation management. We're getting some information from the utilities that have that. The substations that were raised, we get information on how those have performed in major events as well. So we are making sure that we are collecting the information to review.
Mr. President, I think Stacy, I know that's going on, but from the public perspective, they don't know. A lot of the comments that a lot of the elected officials were making. You're investing so much money, but we still have all these outages and all that. So I think sort of even in a peripherally, we can look at some of the review those things. Whatever information is available publicly, do it every 6 months, so that way people can say, we can show the people that, hey, we are doing this thing. This is just for your information. That was a thought, yeah. So if it's too much, it's okay.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. And Stacy, thanks for reminding me in particular about some of these larger projects, that there are monitors who are evaluating what's going on and reporting back to us, which is extremely important when we get into infrastructure projects where we're looking at $1 billion or something of that sort. We obviously want to make sure, and I know you're on top of this, and your division is on top of this, and so on. So it is comforting to know that. I'm just trying to send a message to the utilities that as far as infrastructure, as far as interconnection is concerned, that we're not fooling around here. It's something that is vital, and I know they know that. And I'm particularly talking to those companies that are owned by out-of-state entities, and I may be talking out of school here, but money has to come back to New Jersey, period. Let's stop. No question about it.
Joe, I also wanted to mention, and thank Stacy for also, sending, providing to the commissioners, I think it's quarterly, how much is being spent on these projects, not just these infrastructure projects, but also, as I was saying, some of these other endeavors that we've been pursuing and showing, the cost of operating some of these programs where, we're talking about providing money for infrastructure, which is vital to keeping the system going. But, some of these other, whether it be solar, wind, now energy efficiency, now you're going to have electric vehicles. There's real costs associated with running those programs as well, compared and contrast to what we're spending to continue to run, our traditional programs. So, I think that's also instructive, for us as commissioners when she sends that around to, take a good look at that and give us a barometer or a checkpoint of where we are in terms of that spending.
Yep. Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2B, Stace, also involves an ACE matter.
Correct. On May 1st, Atlantic City Electric filed a petition seeking review and approval of the capital investments related to the company's Powerhead infrastructure program that were placed in service from January 2020 through June 2020. ACE sought to recover a revenue requirement of approximately $1.1 million, which was subsequently updated to $1.05 million based on actual program expenditures through June. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to recover the updated revenue requirement. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see an increase in their bill of 11 cents per month. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing ACE to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2C, Stace, involving normalization clause for Elizabethtown Gas.
Yes, and before I get to item 2C, I just wanted to note that there were obviously a lot of agenda items for energy between the September 9th and the September 23rd agenda. So I just, as a collective, wanted to just note that as a result of all board action taken on ACE matters this month, the annual net impact to a typical residential customer is an increase of $7.71. So I just wanted to note that. For item 2C, on July 31st, Elizabethtown Gas filed a petition seeking approval to modify its rates relating to the review and true-up of its weather normalization charge, the New Jersey Clean Energy Program component of its societal benefits charge, and its on-system margin sharing credit. After an initial review of the petition, the parties executed a stipulation requesting the board approve the proposed rates on a provisional basis, subject to refund with interest. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see an increase in their monthly bill of $2.33. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing Elizabethtown to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2D, Stace, also involves Elizabethtown?
Correct. On April 30th, Elizabethtown Gas filed a petition seeking approval of a rate adjustment related to the company's infrastructure investment program. The company sought authorization to recover $6.48 million in revenue requirements associated with IIP investments made through June 30th, 2020, which was subsequently updated to $6.83 million based on actual expenditures. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to recover the updated revenue requirement. As a result of the stipulation, the monthly bill impact of the proposed rates for a typical customer is an increase of $2.10. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing Elizabethtown to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2E, Stace, a PSE&G matter?
Yes, and I just as a note, as a result of all board action taken on Elizabethtown gas matters this month, the annual net impact to a typical residential customer is a decrease of approximately $48.59.
Well, that's good news, Stace. Thank you.
Yes. For item 2E, on January 24th, Public Service Electric and Gas filed a petition seeking review and approval of the company's manufactured gas plant remediation adjustment clause activities and net manufactured gas plant costs incurred between August 1st, 2018 and July 31st, 2019. In the petition, PS requested approval of net expenditures of approximately $53.1 million. Based on the information in the petition, the annual revenues collected from electric customers would be increased by $2.9 million, and the annual revenue collected from gas customers would be decreased by $2.4 million. The parties executed a stipulation that would allow PS to implement its proposed rack rate. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential electric customer will see an increase in their annual bill of 56 cents, and a typical residential gas customer will see a decrease in their annual bill of 16 cents. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing PS to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2F, another PS matter regarding gas supply service?
On June 1st, PSE&G filed a petition requesting authority to maintain the company's basic gas supply service residential gas service rate and to decrease the company's balancing charge effective October 1st. The parties have determined that while additional time is needed to complete a review of the petition, it's reasonable and in the public interest for the proposed rate reduction to be provisionally approved and executed a stipulation for provisional rates. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential heating customer will see a decrease of $8.92 in their annual bill. I note that in the previous year's BGSS period, PS provided credits to customers over a 3-month period that equated to approximately $46.60. I think it's important to note this when comparing to the other gas companies' BGSS filings from this year. Staff recommends the board issue an order accepting the stipulation and directing PS to file revised tariffs by October 1st. Staff also recommends that this matter be transmitted to the Office of Administrative Law.
Sorry about that. I jumped the gun.
Sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2G also involves public service and the normalization charge.
Correct. On June 29th, PSE&G filed a petition seeking approval to adjust its weather normalization clause rates. In the petition, PS sought to recover $33.7 million from customers over the 2020-2021 winter period through its WNC. After an initial review, the parties have determined that while additional time is needed to complete a comprehensive review, it is reasonable and in the public interest to implement a revised WNC rate and have executed a stipulation which would allow PS to implement a revised rate which is not representative of the entire under collection on a provisional basis subject to refund. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see an increase in their annual bill of $7.76. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing PS to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2H, Stace, South Jersey gas and reliability program rates.
Correct. And I just want to note, since we've finished with the PS matters, as a result of all actions taken this month on PS matters, the annual net impact to a typical residential electric customer is an increase of $1.82 and a decrease for a typical residential gas customer of $1.94.
So basically, we're looking at Stace a wash.
Correct. Essentially, flat rate. Yes.
Right. Good.
For item 2H, on April 30th, South Jersey Gas filed a petition seeking authority to establish rates to recover annualized increases in the revenue requirements associated with the extension of its storm hardening and reliability program. The company sought authority to recover SHARP 2 revenue requirements of approximately $3.8 million, which was subsequently updated to $3.7 million to reflect actual program expenditures through June. The parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to recover the updated revenue requirement. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see an increase in their monthly bill of $1.02. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing South Jersey to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, Mr. President. Stacy, I got a quick question. You know, this allowance for funds used during construction, AFUDC, in some cases we are including, in some cases we're not including. Maybe you could explain to me, because this order you're including it, the previous order you did not include it. So I was just confused. Yeah.
When you say the previous order,
One of the PS orders. Yeah, I think.
right. So the AFUDC is relates to when infrastructure investments are put in, and while they it has to do with the funding while they are completing the construction before it's in service. None of the PSE&G items are related to infrastructure. So it's really just how the money is used during the construction.
Oh, thank you so much. I just was trying to figure it out. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? Comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And 2I, Stace, also South Jersey Gas Infrastructure Replacement Program.
Correct. On April 30th, South Jersey Gas filed a petition seeking authority to establish rates to recover annualized increases in the revenue requirements associated with the extension of its accelerated infrastructure replacement program. The petition sought to recover a $6.5 million revenue requirement related to the expenditures, which was subsequently updated to $6.4 million based on actual expenditures through June. the parties have executed a stipulation that would allow the company to recover the updated revenue requirement. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see an increase in their monthly bill of $1.78. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing South Jersey to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2J, again, South Jersey Gas, Stace?
Yes, on June 1st, South Jersey filed a petition seeking approval to modify its rider age rate, which returns tax credits and Jobs Act refunds to customers. In the petition, South Jersey proposed to implement an increase in the company's current rate, which is the equivalent of a larger credit. The petition was based on actual information through April 2020 and projected information through September 2021. Following an initial review, the parties determined that additional time is needed to do a comprehensive review and executed a stipulation which would allow South Jersey to implement its proposed rider H credit on a provisional basis, subject to refund with interest. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see a decrease of 97 cents in their monthly bill. Staff recommends the board issue an order adopting the stipulation and directing South Jersey to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Since we're on a roll, Stacy, with South Jersey, why don't we do one more?
We're going to do one more today.
Okay.
On March 13th, South Jersey Gas filed a petition for approval of an increase in its operating revenues of approximately $75.3 million. Among other things, the company also sought approval of a return on equity of 10.4% and authority to establish regulatory assets related to incremental costs associated with a pipeline integrity management program incurred between rate cases, increased costs for the company's transmission integrity management program, costs incurred with the development of a canceled pipeline project, and the company's early retirement incentive program. This matter was subsequently transmitted to the OAL and assigned to ALJ Calguire for consideration and hearing. Through the course of the proceeding, South Jersey updated its request to include actual information through the test year, which reflected an updated revenue requirement of $73.3 million. Throughout the course of the proceeding, the parties held numerous discovery and settlement conferences and subsequently executed a stipulation resolving this matter, which ALJ Calguire approved. Some key features of the stipulation are a settlement revenue requirement of $39.5 million, an ROE of 9.6%, the amortization of several items, including the reversal of protected excess accumulated deferred income taxes, and the creation of a regulatory asset for certain incremental TIMP costs. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see an increase in their annual bill of approximately $118.73. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the initial decision and stipulation for service rendered on or after October 1st. Staff further recommends that the board direct South Jersey to file revised tariffs by October 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
Yeah, just a
Comment.
question. What agenda item is this? I lost track of that.
That's 2K.
Oh, 2K. Okay, all right. That's what I thought. I was looking at it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, comments? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. That brings us to 2L and Atlantic City Electric.
Yeah, before I get there, I just want to summarize the bill impacts for the South Jersey gas matters. The annual net impact of all matters that the board is taking action on in South Jersey items for this month is an annual decrease of 70 cents. So again, just about a wash.
Great, good. That's what we like to hear, right, Stace?
Yeah, and obviously for all of the gas items presented this month, we've been pretty lucky with the low cost of gas that we are able to keep customers' rates pretty much flat while we are going through and approving, infrastructure investments and things like this. So it's a pretty good story.
Good.
For agenda item 2L,
Yep.
by board order dated February 19th, 2020, the board ordered 3 of New Jersey's electric distribution utilities to file or update a previously filed petition for an advanced metering infrastructure program by August 27th. In compliance with that order, on August 26th, Atlantic City Electric filed a petition seeking approval of an AMI program, including an associated cost recovery mechanism. At this time, staff recommends that the board retain this matter for hearing and designate a presiding commissioner. Staff further recommends the board set a bar date of October 14th for the filing of motions to intervene and or participate and for admission pro hoc vice.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Okay, Stacy, you and I had talked about a presiding commissioner for the Atlantic City Electric one.
Yes,
Did we not?
yes, we did. And you recommended Commissioner Shivakula.
Yep. And is that okay with you, Commissioner?
Of course, President.
Thank you. All right, so the motion and the second still stand?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiorelisa.
Yes. 2M, Jersey Central Power and Light.
Correct. Similar to the previous item, in compliance with the board's order to file a petition for an AMI program, Jersey Central filed a petition on August 27th seeking approval of an AMI program, including an associated cost recovery mechanism. At this time, staff recommends the board retain this matter for hearing at the board and designate a presiding commissioner. Staff further recommends that the board set a bar date of October 14th for the filing of motions to intervene and or participate and for admission pro hoc vice.
So moved.
Before,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, before we move that, Commissioner, you and I also spoke about designating a commissioner, Stacy, and I think we designated Commissioner Gordon. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And Commissioner Gordon, that's fine with you?
Of course, pleased to
Okay,
help.
thank you. Now, Commissioner Holden, if you wouldn't mind
Okey dokey.
moving it.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, Mr. President, Stacy, what I see the AMI system. Also, they added advanced distribution management system. Is that integration of they should have a distribution management system already. It's basically they're trying to integrate this with that. That's what they're
Yeah.
saying.
So it what they're asking for is to implement both the rollout of the AMI meters as well as the backbone network and the communications network.
Oh, okay. All right, that's what thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiorelisa.
Yes. Stacy, thank you so much for such a comprehensive presentation today.
Thank you. Thanks all commissioners. Have a good afternoon.
And you're the same.
I miss
Item-
Cynthia Holland. I miss Cynthia Holland just now. She would have something before FERC, so we don't have anything. So I just give my accolades to her also.
I'm sorry. Did I miss something here?
No, I think Cynthia Holland does actually have stuff, Commissioner.
Yes, she is doing 2N. Cynthia?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh,
We
yes,
can.
yes, yes. Okay.
All right. So, wow. First, I really want to thank you, Mr. President, for your kind remarks this morning. You know, I enjoy the fact that you brought up Susquehanna Roseland. I won't forget that litigation either. In fact, among other memorable moments, that case was actually the first time that I cross-examined PJM's expert witnesses. So it was some time ago, and I'm really proud of how far we've come together.
Yes.
I also really want to thank you, commissioners, all of you, for your kind remarks. I'm so grateful for the friendship and mentorship that each of you has offered me over the years. Thank you for your confidence, for the confidence that you've had in my recommendations and the work product that my division has produced. I very much value that trust that you've had. I'd also like to say how grateful I am for my colleagues across the board. Thank you, Stacy. I'd like to note that I'm particularly proud of my staffers, Joe and Emily, and I have very much loved working with them and the team that we've built. And so I know that Hannah will do an outstanding job managing this policy work, which really does go hand in glove with the governor's energy master plan. And with such great staff, I'm confident that the board will continue to do outstanding work as I transition to the private sector. So now for my last act, before the Oscar music comes on, I will now present for you item 2N. This case stems from a Section 206 investigation where FERC directed PJM Interconnection to show cause on how their application of the exemption for immediate need reliability projects complied with the narrow criteria established in FERC Order 1000. The board commented in this docket on January 27th of 2020, agreeing with FERC's initial evaluation and arguing that PJM's implementation of the exemption was unjust and unreasonable. So we agreed with FERC. On June 18th, FERC issued an order finding that PJM's implementation was, in fact, unjust and unreasonable. In many ways, this order supports the various arguments that the board made in its prior comments, and staff was satisfied with this order, as we've discussed in the briefings. PJM was required to submit a compliance filing that would align its process with Order 1000. PJM submitted that compliance filing on August 17th, and the comment period extended into early September. This compliance filing was given a new docket, so staff acting on behalf of the board filed a timely intervention in the new docket. Upon review of the compliance filing, staff found that the PJM's filing satisfied 2 of the 3 criteria that FERC ordered them to address. Staff prepared a very limited protest that explains that PJM's compliance filing falls short in that one area because it does not discuss alternative solutions to immediate need projects. The board's prior comments addressed the board's interest in seeing alternative solutions as part of this process. Therefore, we ask that FERC require further compliance on that particular issue. Having filed the intervention and limited protest on behalf of the board, staff is now asking that you ratify those actions. So thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Ferlizzo.
Yes, thank you, Cynthia, and again, much luck to you. That brings us to 2O, and I think Maureen, you're presenting this one.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Maureen.
This matter concerns the electric and gas utilities annual compliance filing to determine the Universal Service Fund and Lifeline program budgets and rates for the upcoming year. USF provided energy assistance benefits to approximately 148,000 low-income households in the current program year, and the Lifeline program provided benefits to over 200,000 households in the last state fiscal year. The utilities submitted their annual compliance filing to the board on June 25th, 2020, requesting rate adjustments to recover a USF budget of approximately $125.6 million, a Lifeline program budget of $74.6 million, an estimated fiscal year 2021 USF administrative cost budget of $6.6 million. While the Lifeline budget has not increased since last year, the Lifeline gas and electric rate increased slightly. Also, the USF gas rate decreased and the electric rate increased. The June filing was based on 7 months of actual information from October 2019 through April and 5 months of estimated information. In their filing, the utilities also requested recovery of their USF-related administrative costs, and they requested that the USF and Lifeline interim rates that were effective through September 2019 be finalized. In July 2020, the utilities submitted responses to a first round of discovery requests, providing staff with 9 months of actual cost data through June 2020. And this update reflected a lower USF budget of approximately $124 million, a lower electric rate, and a slightly higher gas rate. And subsequently, in August 2020, the utilities submitted responses to a second round of staff discovery, providing 10 months of actual cost data through July 2020. This final update reflected a slightly lower USF budget of $123.7 million, an updated USF administrative cost budget of $7.7 million, the same gas rate that was filed in the initial filing, and an additional decrease in the electric rate. Additionally, in August, 2 public hearings were held telephonically in each of the 7 gas and electric utility service territories, and no comments were received from the public regarding this matter. During the review period, Rate Counsel submitted written comments offering their opinion on the utilities filing, and they stated that it recommends the board adopt the lower electric USF rate that is reflected in the utilities' updated cost and revenue calculations. The Rate Counsel does not object to the utilities' request for recovery of their actual administrative costs. They take no position regarding the reasonableness of the proposed USF administrative budget. They do not object to the board making the proposed USF and Lifeline rates effective October 1st, 2020, and they do not object to the board making the interim USF and Lifeline rates permanent. After reviewing the filing and all the related submissions, staff recommends the rates proposed in the final utility update, as it contained the most recent data, including 10 months of actual program costs and a significantly lower electric rate than the initial filing. These rates support a USF budget of approximately $124 million for the new program year, which begins October 1st, 2020. This is an increase of approximately $5 million from the current USF program budget. If approved, this budget and the rates would be effective October 1st, 2020. Further, staff recommends that the board approve the Lifeline rates contained in the filing, which support a Lifeline program budget of $74.6 million. These rates would also be effective October 1st, 2020, if approved. In terms of bill impact, the combined USF Lifeline rates represent a decrease of 60 cents per year for an average residential gas customer and an increase of $1.29 per year for an average residential electric customer. The combined USF Lifeline rate for an average residential customer using both gas and electric represents a net increase of 69 cents. Additionally, staff recommends the board direct staff to reimburse the utilities for the USF-related administrative costs, which total $2,223. And finally, staff recommends that the board finalize the interim USF rates that were approved previously through September 30th, 2019, as these rates have been reviewed and trued up. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much, Maureen. And I'm going to ask our communications division to really start publicizing exactly what help is available to folks, particularly during this pandemic period that we're in, and to ensure the fact that everyone who needs help will certainly be able to get it. And it's very, very important that we get the word out to as many people as we possibly can. I just heard a startling statistic this morning. 46% of the people polled are having difficulty putting food on the table during this time. 46% of our fellow citizens. So if we can help here, I feel it's certainly our obligation to do so. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. President. Maureen, I just was looking at the budget of Department of Community Affairs. It's $6.6 million, correct? Yeah.
It's $7.6 million.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the memo. Had a different number. Okay. Now, was it how much of an increase was that from last year? That because this year there are a number of customers have increased because of pandemic and other reasons, and also I understand from the briefing that they're doing they're increasing their outreach into those communities.
Yes, it was a 15% increase to the administrative budget. DCA, they created an online application portal. So starting next week, people will be able to apply for USF and as well as LIHEAP from any device. They're increasing the number of outreach agencies, and they're increasing advertising of the programs, targeted social media ads, that sort of thing.
Oh, I'm looking at the order. I maybe you may want to take a look at it. It shows 6.6 million in the order.
The initial filing included the estimated budget, which was the previous year's budget.
Oh, okay.
But at the final update from the utilities, we had the updated numbers from
7.6. Okay, great. I just got it. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Roll call, please, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you.
The following do not have any items for consideration. Cable television, telecommunications, water, reliability and security, customer assistance. That brings us to clean energy. And Stacy Richardson, I think you're first up.
Yes. Hello, Mr. President and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning. This matter is about well, I'll just present it this way. On June 10th, 2020, the board issued an energy efficiency framework order in which it directed the state's electric and gas public utilities to submit program filings for New Jersey's next generation of energy efficiency programs. PSE&G's energy efficiency filing is the subject of agenda item 8B. The remaining 6 utility filings are due on September 25th. The board has 180 days in which to review these filings, and the new programs are expected to commence on July 1st of next year. Staff requests that the board designate presiding commissioners for the filings, set October 2nd as the deadline for motions to intervene or participate in each of the filings, and set October 9th as the deadline for responses to those motions.
All right. Who did we talk about designating, Stacy? Do you recall?
So you offered to preside over the electric filings, the 3 electric filings.
Okay.
And you recommended that Commissioner Chivukula preside over the gas filings.
Okay. Is that all right with you, Commissioner?
Yes, Commissioner. Yes, President.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. All right, 8B, you're on for that as far as PSE&G Energy Efficiency Program proposal, Stace?
That's correct. PSE&G filed its Clean Energy Future Energy Efficiency Petition in October 2018. At the time, the board was in the midst of finalizing the 2019 Energy Master Plan and implementing the energy efficiency transition, which was catalyzed by passage of the Clean Energy Act in May 2018. The subject of the energy efficiency transition was the development of a new generation of energy efficiency and peak demand reduction programs in New Jersey, administered by the utilities and the state. After a lengthy and multifaceted stakeholder process, including multiple straw proposals, the board adopted an energy efficiency framework on June 10, 2020, that outlined the requirements for these new programs. Following adoption of that order, settlement discussions resumed on the CEF-EE filing, which resulted in a stipulation of settlement. According to the stipulation, PSE&G will implement 10 subprograms, 4 residential, 5 commercial and industrial, and 1 multifamily, at a total energy efficiency investment budget of $970 million over 3 years, beginning on October 1st, 2020 for some of the programs, and no sooner than January 1st, 2021 for the balance of the programs. Staff has worked with the parties to ensure that the implementation of PSE&G's programs and plans will be part of a consistent approach statewide to energy efficiency programs implemented pursuant to the Clean Energy Act and the board's guidance. Staff recommends that the board approve the stipulation of settlement and PSE&G's CEF-EE filing according to the terms and conditions in the stipulation.
So moved.
Second.
Energy efficiency obviously is one of the major components of working toward our goal of 100% clean energy by 2050. Obviously, the cheapest energy is the energy we don't use. And after our deliberations in deciding what the utility should be doing, what the board should be doing, we are at the point where we're looking forward to these programs to commence. The PSE&G Energy Efficiency program has had some controversy attached to it, and so on. And as I say to everyone, you can criticize us as much as you want. That's your right, and so on. But wait for the finished product. And 9 out of 10 times when you see the finished product, because of the outstanding staff that we have, you will notice that the finished product is excellent. And I think what we have done with energy efficiency and what staff has done with energy efficiency is second to none. So I'm so pleased that we're moving now in this direction, and that we're all excited to see the savings, particularly for those environmentally justice communities, particularly those underserved communities, where we can help them decrease the cost of their energy bills. And that's what this is all about, helping them decrease the cost and also helping us to move toward our goal in 2050. So in my mind, it's a win-win situation. So I thank Public Service for submitting its proposal. I look forward to the future ones, and we will continue to move in the direction that Governor Murphy has pointed us. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. Stacy, I look at for the residential behavior and energy audit, I'm sorry, data analytics. I think they have a $25 million budget. I hope they get good data for us to analyze for our evaluation, validation, verification we'll have enough data. Hopefully, we want to make sure that. I think we need a lot of data about the progress of energy efficiency, which is a key component of the energy master plan. So I think we need a lot of data and lots of data, and we need to use that for our metrics and assessment.
Yes, thank you for that comment, Commissioner. These filings will all be going through a robust energy evaluation, measurement, and verification process that's consistent statewide. So we'll be tracking data, having it reported, evaluating it, making sense of it, and always learning from it so that we can continue to do better. So thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you very much, Stacy, and thanks for all of your work and your team's work toward this energy efficiency journey that we're on.
Thank you.
That brings us down to 8C. Kelly Moy, I think you're on for 8C. Am I correct?
You are correct. Thank you, Mr. President. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. In the matter of the Comprehensive Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Resource Analysis, or the CRA, for fiscal year 2021, staff is pleased to present recommendations on funding levels. As the commissioners are aware, ADECA required the board to undertake comprehensive resource analysis every 4 years. Since 2012, this has been done on an annual basis. Given the ongoing discussions related to energy efficiency program administration, staff drafted and recommends another 1-year CRA. On April 14th, 2020, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy signed into law a bill that extended the state's fiscal year to September 30th, 2020. In order to align with the state's fiscal year, the board extended the New Jersey Clean Energy Program FY20 budget. Therefore, New Jersey Clean Energy Program's fiscal year 21 budget reflects 9 months of funding. The CRA straw proposal includes the level of funding estimated to meet the needs of the Clean Energy Program while staff develops the transition plan to meet the energy savings required by the Clean Energy Act. For FY21, staff is recommending that the board set an SBC funding level of $344,665,000, which is the same funding level approved by the board since FY15. The FY21 SBC funding level includes SBC collections from July, August, and September 2020, in addition to SBC collections during the 9 months of FY21. When combined with other sources of funding, this results in a total FY21 funding of $509,029,779. Staff estimates that the proposed FY21 funding level will be sufficient to maintain a full portfolio of programs. On September 9th, 2020, staff provided via the BPU listserv and the Clean Energy Program website public notice of a September 17th public hearing. Staff also posted on the Clean Energy website its FY21 CRA, the New Jersey Clean Energy Program's program and budget, and its associated compliance filings. A public hearing regarding the CRA, along with those programs and budgets and compliance filings, was held via webinar on September 17th, and comments were accepted through September 18th. The CRA straw proposal recommends that $344,665,000 in new SBC funding be approved for FY21. Staff is recommending that this be allocated across the energy efficiency programs, DER programs, renewable energy programs, EDA programs, planning and administration, BPU initiatives, and state energy initiatives. Of note, $100 million is being allocated to that line, state energy initiatives. When you combine the new funding and other sources of funds, which include prior commitments carried over from FY20, the total new proposed FY21 funding level is $509,029,779. Staff has determined that by maintaining the FY20 SBC funding level in FY21, there will be no incremental impact on rates. Thus, the CRA straw proposal sets out in detail the rationale utilized by staff in developing the FY21 funding level. Having reviewed and considered the comments regarding the FY21 funding level, staff recommends the board set, adopt, and approve the proposed FY21 funding level and proposed FY21 utility payments.
So moved.
Second.
Are there questions, comments? Roll call, Ada?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Girlizo.
Yes. Item D, Kelly, also related to the budget?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Continuing the discussion on the CRA, we move next to the agenda item dealing with the clean energy programs and budgets for FY21. New Jersey's clean energy program promotes increased energy efficiency and the use of clean, renewable sources of energy. The results for New Jersey are a stronger and fairer economy, less pollution, lower costs, and reduced energy demand. Clean Energy Program offers financial incentives, programs, and services for residential, commercial, industrial, and municipal customers. The Clean Energy Budget is developed by staff based upon past experience, program participation, plans for new programs, and program administrator and utility engagement for the Comfort Partners program. On September 9th, notice was distributed to the BPU listserv posted to the New Jersey Clean Energy Program website, along with the following FY21 documents: the board's Division of Clean Energy compliance filing, TRC program descriptions and budget, the Charge Up New Jersey compliance filing, utility compliance filing. These are all collectively known as the proposed FY21 compliance filings, the proposed FY21 budget, and a summary of the proposed program changes for FY21. On September 17th, as mentioned previously, staff hosted a webinar and presented an overview of proposed new NJCEP initiatives along with program changes for FY21. Distributions and postings requested comments with a due date of September 18th. In addition, the NJDEP, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, as required by ADECA, confirmed that the board had consulted with NJDEP regarding the CRA straw proposal and the proposed FY21 funding level, and that NJDEP agreed with the proposed FY21 funding level. The proposed budget is consistent with the funding levels approved in the CRA order by the board previously. Based on the goals set forth in the CRA straw proposal, the policy objectives of the New Jersey Clean Energy Program, and historic spend rates, staff, in close coordination with our program administrator, developed proposed programs and budgets. As a reminder, the total budget for the Clean Energy Program includes both new and prior commitments, which are carried over from FY20, with $100 million going to state energy initiatives. Besides one new pilot program, there are no new programs or line items in the FY21 budget. The following summarizes some key programs and funding levels. $1.5 million is allocated to support a new acoustical testing pilot program to facilitate water utilities purchasing or renting monitoring equipment that allows them to more efficiently and effectively locate water leaks. This program primarily seeks to address water and energy losses, especially in overburdened communities. The FY21 budget allocates more than $180 million in new funding to energy efficiency, including $34 million for the 9-month period for low-income residents via Comfort Partners and $16 million for DER. It also includes $4.1 million in new funding for renewable energy, which includes the SREC TREC registration program and offshore wind. The FY21 budget also covers the cost for administration, including staff salaries, services of our program administrator, and partnerships with NJIT and Sustainable Jersey. Additionally, several key BPU initiatives continue to receive program funding: $7 million for energy storage, $500,000 for community energy grants, $2 million for workforce development. There are also ongoing transitions of both the New Jersey Wind and R&D Energy Tech Hub programs, as we've discussed previously. Lastly, the FY21 budget allocates approximately $20 million for EV incentives and over $3.4 million for administration of the Charge Up New Jersey program. This will provide funding to promote the continued growth of EVs and the decarbonization of the transportation sector in the state. Staff has reviewed and considered the comments received and recommends the board approve the detailed FY21 program budgets contained within the order.
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
Yeah, Mr. President. Kelly, a couple of questions. One is the website, under Clean Energy website. The budget is 0, right?
The Clean Energy Program website budget is carried over. We are in the process of revamping our website. We've got a lot of great information and we need to make sure that folks are able to access that. So the money was previously allocated for the website and will be carried forward for this budget.
What about sustainable Jersey? That's the budget is reduced.
The budget may appear to be reduced only because this is a 9-month budget.
Okay, got it.
Prorated at the prorated amount, it would be level funding from prior years.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Comments? I think we're moving in the right direction as far as our clean energy dollars are concerned, and it's very exciting, and we have to, as we all know, get that money out the door and ensure the fact that it's being spent, and we do. Kelly and her team is remarkable in monitoring all of this, and it really is going in the direction that we want it to go and going to the programs that we want it to go to. So it is, I think we're on the right track here, Kelly. And I want to thank you and your team for all of your work.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiorliso.
Yes. Thank you, Kelly. 8E has been deferred, as I mentioned previously, and will be taken up at a later time. That brings us to 8F. And I think Kathleen Lewis, you're presenting the EV straw proposal.
Yes, I am.
Infrastructure build out.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm all that stands between everyone and their afternoon, too. This matter pertains to the development of electric vehicle infrastructure within the state and addresses the roles of private and public sectors in developing light-duty, publicly accessible charging sites. To advance the board's implementation of the Electric Vehicle Act of 2020 and the adoption of EVs in New Jersey, staff presents to you recommendations for minimum filing requirements for utilities filings pertaining to EV offerings. Excuse me. Staff recommendations were informed by the straw proposal and stakeholder process begun on May 18th regarding the EV infrastructure ecosystem. Staff recommends that the following requirements for light duty and publicly accessible charging. Define publicly accessible charging as accessible to the general public 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sites may be on public land, community locations, or travel corridors. Public chargers must also clearly display the cost to users. Ensure that chargers and make-ready sites funded through this program are accessible to all EV users. Establish a shared responsibility model for EV infrastructure that promotes appropriate roles for both the EDCs and private investors. Under this model, the EDCs would be responsible for wiring and backbone infrastructure necessary to enable a robust number of charger-ready locations. Non-utility entities, including site owners, property management companies, and EVSE infrastructure companies, would be primarily responsible for installing, owning, and operating and marketing the EVSE using private capital. Permit the EDCs to own and operate charging stations in areas of last resort upon approval by the board. The criteria and process for the last resort application is outlined in the requirements. Require the EDCs to address the obstacles that tariff demand charges currently present to private investment and outline the considerations that EDCs must make in addressing these issues. Require the EDCs to execute and provide up-to-date maps that illustrate areas in which grid capacity currently exists to accommodate EV charging and where upgrades will be necessary, and provides guidance on residential charging incentives, outreach, equity, and oversight, as well as providing a summary and response to the EV straw proposal. Staff recommends that the board adopt these minimum filing requirements for future electric vehicle filings by the state's electric public utilities. Staff also recommends that the board direct electric public utilities in the state that have not already filed EV proposals to do so by February 28th, 2021. And finally, staff recommends that the board direct staff to initiate a rulemaking process to adopt these requirements and administrative rules to ensure equity and consistency throughout the state. And there you have it.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think one of the benefits here, Kathleen, and thank you for your work and on this. It's really moving along very nicely. I'm very, very happy. And I think one of the benefits here is encouraging private investment into charging stations. And I do not agree personally that the electric company should own all of the private or all of the charging stations. I think the private investment is necessary, and we have interest from private companies and so on who want to get in the area or in the field or already in the field in other states. And I think that kind of competition and that kind of involvement is good for the state of New Jersey. And we're not certainly barring the EDCs from being a part of it, but they're not going to be the only part. And to me, that's a positive. Any questions, comments?
Mr. President, I think Kathleen has done a fantastic job, withstanding a lot of questions and trying to balance the interests of all the parties. And I just want to say kudos to her.
Yes, I ditto to that. Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. There are no, and thank you, Kathleen. There are no miscellaneous items to consider. And our next meeting will be October 2nd. The delivery of that meeting is still up in the air, so stay tuned. It will be certainly announced in the appropriate time according to law, and so on. Hopefully, we can be in the State House, the commissioners and staff. If that doesn't work, we're looking at another venue. So please stay alert and stay aware. I ask that you take care of yourself and take care of one another. If there are no other items, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you very much, and everyone have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah.